All right, this is part two of putting back together the Skidoo 1200. So as you can see, it's a bit together. We've been working on it on the side and I didn't take a video on it, but I'll show you what we've done. It's really not that complicated. So this is our engine cradle here. It's in two pieces as I showed how I took it out. So this here is the cradle in here now. We've got all these rivets from Skidoo and put them in all the way around. There's 1/4 inch rivets or 6.4 millimeter. We've re-riveted all the little ones. There's rivets through the sides here. We ended up using a bolt here because the Skidoo dealer is out of the 1/4 inch rivets and we cannot get any. So we used them there, and we used a couple up in front here where the bulkhead goes on underneath here. There's a spot right in here. But all these rivets, the big quarters and stuff, we've put in. And as far as that, if you're just doing the S module, you don't have to pull the engine, but since we had to replace this side member here, that's why we had to yank it. But the S module, these big bolts in here, I've looked everywhere and people say to use 1/4 inch bolts. We left this loose because it'll be easier to bring the motor in. And then we're gonna put these 6/4 inch by 3/4 bolts in here, grade 8. Because the fancy rivets from factory like these you can't install, so we're putting them in after we got the A-arms on. It's all just bolt together stuff, but it's really not that hard to put this front end on if it was just S module and we didn't have to replace this. But since that was broken, whole motor came out, which we worked on the oil tank and stuff. I just put a new oil tank on here and put sealant on the O-rings like Skidoo specified when I had my old 1200. And we just got done spray nining this and pressure washing the engine to make it nice and new looking in there and having it nice and clean. So as you can see, the disaster's coming to an end. We used these big rivets in here. This is just a 3/16 rivet with a huge head on it. We had a whole bunch sitting around of aluminum ones to put the belly pan on and all the parts again. But otherwise you can do this all with basic tools, and except that riveter was the only thing that we really needed. And yeah, we're just gonna put the engine in here. We might take a video of it, I don't know, but we'll keep you updated on all the hard stuff of putting this back together. Well, we never got a video of throwing the engine in. It is a little bit of a bear of a job going through the side, but not too bad. So anyways, we got the engine slid in. That's about all we've done, and put the wiring harness on. And in turn, we set the exhaust in here. It's just sitting here, bolted the exhaust manifold on. And really, you just go around and reconnect all your wires that you can and just do your best at rerouting them in the factory position. Off your engine, you'll have your 3 stator wires that go up to your voltage regulator. And then there's one wire here for your tack, I believe it is, that goes up into there. And basically we got the A-arms bolted on and skis, all basic stuff. The seat clips in on the front and gas tank. The seat back here, the previous owner had rusted bolts just rammed in everywhere. There was only 3 bolts in it. There's a piece of an extension cord run under here, so we got rid of that. Ran the wiring properly across the top of the gas can, or across the top of the gas tank. Put some nice new stainless bolts into the seat back there. All the wiring here we redid. Only thing that I've found that's not factory, I don't know what was supposed to be here, but there was another switch here, and there's a couple spare wires under here that I assume connected to that, but we'll get that figured out. So anyways, it's all plugged in, and we got the motor mount in. We're just gonna, we gotta put our brake shield on here and stuff, but it was just nice to get everything bolted in and kind of closed in and get it looking like a snowmobile again. The A-arm, Skidoo shorted us an A-arm. We have ordered 2 bottom lefts, or a bottom left and a bottom right A-arm, because they were both torqued a bit. And we ended up getting a right upper and a right lower. And so we sent that back and got the proper one. It looks like they've updated the design. Instead of having it bolt straight in, they got this is bolted, or this is angled welded right there. And on here, it bent in and then was straight. So I'm hoping it's a better design. they bolt right up real nice. So hopefully it's good. Everything bolted up nice, and hopefully it's a stronger design than the last one. So we weren't sure if they were torqued or not, but the one ski was way back. Actually, it was torqued. It wasn't the actual arm in here was torqued, but where the ball joint goes in was twisted like way too many degrees off of what it should be. So anyways, we're gonna install this ball joint and get this A-arm on. We actually had to pull the belly pan off to get at the lower A-arm bolts because we forgot that they shorted us it. Anyways, we'll get this thing back together soon. So we got all of our plastics organized, trying to remember where everything goes because it's been so long. He's got all the plastics at his house for the place. So anyways, we're gonna put all these screws in and get it all dialed in, but we got everything connected. This whole air box, whole assembly just sets on top of there. It's kind of weird because on the XR it had a hood till about here, and then your headlights were there and stuff. You sat back a lot farther, so this gives you a lot more of a rider forward position even than the XR on the XS. But we're getting there. We got to figure out these rad hoses. They're all over in here. They're so close to the exhaust. I got to figure out what to do, and I got to properly connect this because when it was hit, he had some tab connectors on here. Everything is just jimmied up, we'll say. So anyways, we're getting close. She's nice and straight now. The skis are in line now, as you can see. They were before that ski over there was about right there, the ski hoops. So everything went together really well. We're just waiting on a new jack shaft bearing so we can get the jack shaft across, start filling it with coolant. But yeah, it's finally starting to look like a snowmobile again. Well, it's late Friday afternoon. We're taking off work early. It's pissing rain outside. So we're gonna work on this thing a bit. All I did was put this plastic piece on right here. It just slips on. I did all of our hose connections here. I did nice with the Oedeker clamps in here, there. Just makes it look nice and factory. The actual brackets on this aluminum from when it was hit, it must have been hit in here or something. None of this stuff is broken. But anyways, it was a little bent, so I put that in. I had to put one new nice stainless bolt in there to get that all dialed in. Redid the electrical wiring for that fan. They had it taped together and stuff. So we're just waiting for a bearing for here for our, what do you call it here? Jack shaft. We'll put that in there, put a jack shaft bearing in, put our clutch on. Everything else is dialed in, all of our electricals together. He's going to get all the parts right now for all this. I put the coolant drain in. It's way down there on your water pump. I got that in. I just got the muffler mocked up right now because I had to, just to see where to run the coolant line. So I'll pull that back out so I can tighten up the chain case. I'm starting to fill it with coolant so it can slowly air bleed out a little bit. And we're just gonna put that jack shaft in, put our plastics back on, and this sucker should be done. Just mounted the last bearing in there. Got a new 6008 bearing in there. Got the retainer on. I put this through to the chain case. I've checked the oil in the chain case and got the battery in and stuff. I filled it with coolant. I'm letting it go down. We're just using a universal coolant in here, extended life, because they had some of that color in there and I didn't want to mix some proper stuff in there again, so I'm just using what they had in there, and we're gonna hope for the best on this one because I believe that you should keep using whatever coolant they had in there. So that's what we're using. And yeah, gonna check the oil. I had a coolant leak when I started it quick, and it was because I forgot to clamp this line going, I guess it's a heater technically for your throttle body, or that'll keep it warm there. I think they do that in case there's snow buildup coming in, that it won't freeze up the throttle body there. Anyways, we got it running, no codes, no lights, so that's all good. And yeah, gonna get the plastics. I'm just waiting on the plastics. I'm gonna slap on the muffler, and we're gonna be good to go on this thing, about ready to test her out. Well, we gotta wait for a while to test it out, but we can start bleeding the coolant and get that all run through. If anybody does have a hood, his hood right in here has a crease in it. and I told him we should get a new one. So if anybody's got a lead on a 1200 Grand Touring Special Edition hood, I'd like to buy a used one in good shape. I understand that most of the time they get hammered in the front. Hood's probably one of the rarest pieces to find, but you never know. Okay, so with our exhaust, everything on, I'm gonna try and bleed the coolant, but when I hit this before, I noticed when I start this thing, it says it's got 670 kilometers. That's your trip. Trip B, 1.9 hours, that's your trip, but 670.6 kilometers. I knew he paid a good deal on it, but I didn't know it was 670 kilometers. Now it makes sense why this thing was smashed up and never used. I thought he said it had 6,700 kilometers. So this thing could have very well been used, I guess, with that many K on it. That track, if I look at this, it shouldn't be this banged up. So I'm wondering if there's something fishy going on with the mileage, because this thing should essentially be brand new with 670 kilometers. None of the bushings should be worn or anything. So I'm gonna have to look into this. If anybody knows how that could be changed, if they just change the dash, could the kilometers change, or do they have to change the computer too? I'm betting the computer too, but it's a possibility. So either way, if this thing only has 670K on it, I mean, all the bushings, like, it looks like to me that it's sat for a long time, because all the ball joints, everything, that if he thought it had 6,700K would be worn out. So, I mean, I'm going to get him to go back on the history report he got on this thing, but everything is looking like it could have that much, and it would make sense, the amount of corrosion on it, because it's just sat. It hasn't done anything. So, that would be why, if it was stolen, it could be, yeah. Anyways, we'll chime in with you when we get the plastics here and start bolting everything together. Well, we got the plastics all bolted on, shined it up a little bit. Pretty decent looking sled. We can tell that a whole bunch of parts had been replaced. As you can see, like I mentioned in there, the hood was broken in there. So if we can find one of those pieces, if anybody has one, you can let me know and probably make a deal with you. But everything, we've oiled up everything, put fluid film in the skis. Those adjustable carbides seem to rust like crazy. We've just been running it, and I've had it up, tilted in the back. I used the back end lifter on the front, brought up the front to try and get the coolant through. And since this one has I'm not sure if it's factory or not on the Grand Tourings, but it has the fan kit in there. So I want to see if it came on, since I rewired it. So we were running it for quite a while, trying to get the air through the system, and we had to refill the jug about 4 or 5 times. And once we had it up in the front, it drained out, filled it again, and ran it. And once we ran it like that, all of a sudden the fan came on, and we are all working, and that's good that that fan works. So you can run this thing forever and it won't overheat. It's kind of cool, not normal for a snowmobile, but we just checked the adjustment of this clutch. Everything works well. It goes into reverse. Good to go. So that there is how to replace, or well, not how to, but just showing you what was all involved for us to replace the S module and the cross member underneath the engine, and replace the oil tank. We got no oil leaks, no coolant leaks so far. Fingers crossed there isn't any. And this thing's back on the road. If anybody knows any backstory to this snowmobile that's watching it, comment and let us know. Thanks for watching.